And we're live. It is Tuesday, December 2nd, the year of our Lord 2025. It is 8 o'clock a.m., and I have a shocking announcement to make. Guys, I am in the Epstein files. And I I didn't it's not that I did anything terrible. It's not that I've ever met Jeffrey Epstein, which I haven't. It's not that I ever corresponded with him, that I didn't. But if you look in the Epstein files, you will see that Kathy Rumler, who used to be the White House counsel in the Obama administration, had an occasional habit of sending lawfare articles to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, why she did, I do not know. And why those articles tended to be written by me, I don't know. But as a result, I went into the office the other day and a member of my staff said, "Hey, Ben, you're in the Epstein files." And when somebody says that to you, there is your heart misses a beat because you're like, oh my God, what did I do? Um, and then it turns out I am there purely as a collateral matter. And so if anybody tells you Wittes is in the Epstein files, um, you can say, yeah, because Kathy Rumler sent some articles that he wrote to Jeffrey Epstein. Take it up with Kathy Rumler, people. It is a gray day. It is raining. And the monologue today is not about the Epstein files. It is about why I am wearing a alligator shirt from
Made in France.
made in France. And the reason this will be the deepest of deep cuts from people, for those of you who were deep in the old in lieu of fun days, you may remember that I had a Twitter correspondence with the great Aurélie Bonal, the deputy ambassador to France, who actually played some role in my meeting Holly Berkley Fletcher. Um,
True.
uh,
That
and Aurélie Bonal had great Twitter game for a working diplomat, and she started razzing me that I was only wearing uh, um, dog shirts and not alligator shirts, and that I should wear an alligator shirt. And I told her if she got me one, I would wear it. And she sent me a link to this because it's made in France, you see. And so I bought it. And it is an honorary dog shirt for purposes of Dog Shirt TV. Folks,
say navy is your color. You look very good in this navy color.
well, thank you, Holly.
Yeah, you
Look,
should get a dog shirt that is navy.
the sun is not shining in Washington. It is dark, it is gray, it is pouring rain. I hear if you go a little further north of here, it is snowing. Speaking of dog shirt, of in lieu of fun, the estimable Kate Klonick informs me that she is lying in bed and watching the snow. And when I told her she should come on the show this morning, she said that involves more clothes and uprightness and less cuddling in her pajamas than she is currently apt to do. But so as far, if you get to New York, it is snowing. Um,
I would say you could do the show lying down in your pajamas in bed. I've done that before, so I don't think that's an excuse.
I don't think it's an excuse either, but we never question, uh, uh, the rules that get laid down. We just roll with them. But it is, the birds are wet, but they're chirping. It is going to be a great freaking day, and you are watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is a goddamn revolution in morning television.
You're watching Dog Shirt TV, a forking revolution in morning television.
You
You're
are
watching Dog Shirt TV, a forking revolution in morning
In a round.
television.
It's in a
You
round.
are watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is a forking revolution in morning television. And one of the revolutionary features is that sometimes the cactuses are out of sync and they say their thing individually as though the other one had not just said it or was not about to say it. And another one of the revolutionary features is that sometimes Holly Berkley Fletcher, our esteemed cactus wrangler, once a week or so, gets stuck in an airport somewhere in flyover country and spends an
Once a
entire
week.
day trying to get home. Holly, where did you get stuck this time?
In Dallas. Well, I wasn't stuck. I was just delayed. And I have to say, so I was in Dallas, Love Field, Southwest Airlines hub. I went to Texas after Thanksgiving. My some of you know that my very best friend in the whole world has been seriously ill this year, and fortunately, she has a correct diagnosis and is, I think, on the mend. But anyway, she will. It wasn't DFW; it was Love Field, by the way. So, which is better, easier to get around. So, but I have to say, I love Southwest in terms of their, you know, their terminology, because when a flight is delayed, it doesn't say on the board um, delayed. It says new time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that nice? It's very
Yeah.
positive. It says it's a new time. Like honestly, you should be excited. You know,
Well,
like your old time was gonna suck.
it was going to suck. The new time is
The new
awesome. Well,
time's gonna be much better.
well,
So,
I have to say that I have been studying German in on Duolingo,
oh
and
my goodness, you can't be stopped. What do you like? Imagine you could cure cancer with the brain power you spend on Duolingo.
we have just learned the word for delayed.
Oh,
Stornieren
oh no!
is a scary sounding word for mere delayed.
But all
Um,
German words are scary sounding.
I mean, nein, stornieren. Like um, new time. So I think the Germans should adopt not Duolingo,
Southwest.
Southwest's new time terminology. Uh, Holly Berkeley Fletcher, what is on your mind? You have written an awesome set of gift ideas for the
Yeah, it's that time of year. By the way, I would be interested
Oh,
in.
I'm sorry. I'm corrected. Stornierung is cancellation.
Oh,
Delay
you
is
don't want that.
Verspätung.
Okay, Verspaten.
Verspätung.
Verspaten. Okay,
Yeah,
Kevin and I were on a
also a scary sounding word.
Kevin and I were on an Austrian Air flight one time many years ago, and we noticed when they give the safety talk, all we heard was Flugen, which is flight. As it turns out, we just heard Flugen this, Flugen that. So now we speak fake German to each other, and we just say Flugen, 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 Flugen.
Well, um,
And
you
actually,
know,
Kevin works on Germany and Austria, or has worked on Germany and Austria for the past several years, and had just got back from Germany. And I always ask him, "Did you speak German to the Germans?" And I'm always disappointed when he says he didn't speak fake our little Flugen language to the Germans.
well, I actually love the sound of German, and one of the cool things about studying German, I've never studied a Germanic language before, and the um, similarities and differences grammatically to English are really, really interesting and completely different from the similarities and differences in Romance languages. And I think it's super fun. And so I am pro German in all things right now, except
Flugen.
terminology for delays uh, uh, and cancellations, which seem to me to involve a little bit too many syllables, a few too many syllables for such simple concepts. Anyway, Holly, talk to us about your gift ideas.
Well, first of all, is Hanukkah as much work? I don't think it's as much work as Christmas, and therefore, at this time of year, ironically, I always wish I were Jewish
Hanukkah is
because,
basically a fraud. Um,
well, I'm all
it's
about less work because Christmas is so
People
much.
make it into a fair bit of work, but it's not actually a lot of work, and it doesn't have to be. All you really need to do on Hanukkah is light candles for 8 days.
I
The
can do
rest,
that.
the
Yeah,
rest is all. Um, uh, and by the way, you know, there's even regional disputes about what the food is, right? So if you're in the United States or Western Europe or Eastern Europe, the food is going to be, latkes. And if you're in Israel, the
I like
food
those.
is going to be jelly donuts.
I like those.
And but it's simple. It's not like a whole complex meal. It's just fried things fried in oil because oil is the spirit of Hanukkah.
I like
So
oil.
it's very simple. It's not
Okay,
a
well,
complicated project.
Christmas is not simple. You have the gifts, you have the travel, you have the food, you have the parties, you have not just the gifts from like yourself to the children or the other people, but then you have to pretend you're like Santa Claus, even though everybody knows you're not Santa Claus. But there has to be more gifts and delivered in a different way because it's Santa Claus. And then for a while, we had the elf on the shelf, which whoever invented that needs to be killed because we had that for a while. Although once the kids reached a certain age, we one morning we got up and we found the elves on. We had two of them. I don't ask, but we found them brutally murdered, which was very fun actually. One of them had been beheaded and the other one had been stabbed with a fork, and there was blood all over the kitchen counter. And so that was the end of the elves on the shelf. But for a while we had that.
Do you know
And
who was responsible for the murder of the elf on the shelf? Or
um,
the elves on the shelves?
I might know. I might have information on that event.
I see.
But Fifth Amendment and all that. So there is, and the lights and the decor. Okay, the tree and the decor. So like I didn't even write a post yesterday as I usually do because I had to put up our tree, which is still not decorated because then everybody got home and then they decided that they weren't feeling decorating today. So I was like, oh, I guess, okay, I put up the tree for no reason today. And then, oh, we have to do cookie decorating. We do that. You have to wrap all the gifts. So I just bought a bunch of. Anyway, it is so freaking much work every year. Oh, and then in our house, we have two birthdays. We have my birthday, Holly Day, December 18th. Mark your calendar every year. December 18th is Holly Day for all religions. And Holly, in defiance of the Christ and the other things that try to steal my joy at this time, Holly celebrates her birthday every holiday. And since I got a karaoke machine, that is what we do. So, and we do that on other days too. Just when we're feeling kind of low, we sing. And by we, I just mean me by myself. So anyway, yeah, Holiday will be another karaoke party. It'll be awesome. But then we also have my son's birthday, um, the 16th. And so it's too much. It's too much. So anyway, I thought other people might also be similarly feeling overwhelmed. So I did a gift guide on my Substack. It's very funny if I do say so. And there's great ideas for it for these times in particular. Identity concealment, protest ideas. There's just creepy stuff that I found on Amazon. There's this like black uh, baby stress ball, which is terrifying, and there's two of them. I mean, it's just terrifying. Um, oh, this is great, which I'm ashamed to say that this actually appeals to me. This is a rubber nose that you fill with gook, and then you can squeeze the blackheads of the nose.
That is important. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it okay, so it's not just me, and like don't because you know that it's not just me, but the pimple popping videos on YouTube, I can go down a serious rabbit hole with
Oh, I've never
doctors.
seen one.
Oh my gosh, Ben.
You got to send me those.
Oh, there's whole channels, but the most famous channel is it Dr. Pimple Popper is her name? She's this adorable lady in California, dermatologist, and she has some amazing things. You know what it is? Let me just try to explain. My husband is revolted, like he would, if the consequences are so high, because he gets disgusted really easily. And he is disgusted that I watch these videos, but I'm telling you, there is something like so appealing about them. And there's different things, like there's just your normal pimples and blackheads that she squeezes, but then, and I'm not going to go on too long about that because we may have some people who are also similarly disgusted. But then she does like these cysts, which are amazing. You would not believe what the human skin can contain. And it is just like amazing what is in there. It is just amazing. It's fascinating. And then
Jiggers, for example.
well, that she hasn't done that. She hasn't done one of those. I think it's a mistake. Oh, the dilated pores of Weiner, which is DPOW for short. Those are amazing. There's like, I don't know, like there's just it's amazing. And I'll just leave it at that. Because there's something therapeutic about just there's a problem and then you just get it out. You just get it out. And then it's done.
How
And
did we get on this subject?
the thing you can buy, so you don't squeeze your own
Oh,
blackhead.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what else do we have? Oh, there's this massager, which there's many different models of self massage on the internet.
So this is where your feed, your algorithm and mine interact because
Well, to
uh,
be fair, I went searching for some of this. So,
I see, because the algorithm does try to sell me massagers.
okay, did you see the one with the tiny hands that look
Yeah,
like
it
Donald
goes
Trump?
like this.
Yeah, it is so creepy looking. It is very creepy looking. So there's that. And then I had previously made a video during COVID. There is a yoga Barbie whose boobs light up, which is very fun. Maybe that could be your Ukrainian that you buy is the yoga Barbie.
Yeah, so does the algorithm try to sell you young Ukrainian
No,
women?
no, no,
No.
it doesn't. But it did try to sell me a woman wrapped in a tortilla blanket, a blanket that looks exactly like a tortilla. And then there's all these weird garden ornaments. Did you like apparently you want to combine animals with food. So like there's a goose that looks like a hot dog you can put in your garden. I don't know why. There's an Elvis squirrel garden statue. Oh, and then there's a costume for your goose garden statue. Like you can dress your goose garden statue up like a squirrel. Leor made the comment that we have way too much money here, and I would agree with that. There's, I mean, it's like if you can think of it, it exists.
But
Um,
here's the thing, Leor. It coexists with an affordability crisis.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody, people, are scrolling and impulse buying all sorts of things and then voting for candidates because there's an affordability crisis.
yep,
And this is the paradox of American life right
America,
now.
yeah. I think our expectations and our boredom, basically, we're a decadent society and we're very bored. And so we want to buy more things to cure the boredom, but that costs money. So then
Right.
there are years of affordability. So anyway, and then I put together a really beautiful, classy outfit ensemble of 3 items. I thought it could answer, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy thinks that we all look trashy on the airplanes. I would suggest that many of his own uh, cohorts in the MAGA movement are guilty of this more so than his liberal enemies. But
Can,
hey,
can
I'm
I
not
ask
here
a
to judge.
question about this? Because I saw that he said it, but I didn't dive down that particular rabbit hole. What's the why is it a problem for the transportation secretary?
He
It
just
doesn't
thinks
affect the speed with which the likelihood the airplane's going to take off on time.
he just thinks we don't look classy.
I understand why Tom Nichols cares about, whether people are dressed properly on airplanes. But why does Sean Duffy care?
Well, I think he's evangelical-ish, so it probably has to do with scantily clad women and lust, is what I'm going to go on a limb and say. But anyway, he's just offended by the lack of class on the airlines, and that's easier to talk about than the air traffic control, the shortage of labor there, and some of the other issues. It's much easier to just talk about people's clothes. So anyway, but here we go. Here's the outfit though, Ben, that you should wear on your next flight. It is a tuxedo t-shirt, those t-shirts that look like
Yeah.
tuxedos. It is mullet socks. So it's socks with a mullet with a ponytail hanging on them. Very classy. And then you can pair the socks with lobster sandals. And I think that you're ready for Hyannisport, in the Kennedys with that outfit.
Right. No,
And
I think that's
airline travel as well. Um,
well, I think that's right. And I think in honor of Sean Duffy, I have a long flight tomorrow. I think I'm going to wear a ripped dog shirt. And um, I'm gonna be extra trashy tomorrow. Flip flops on the plane, um, no socks, and I'm just gonna oh, so Jeff has, I would do this.
Frog costume. Can you
Um,
get on a plane in a frog? I don't
I
think they'd let
doubt
you get on a
I
plane.
doubt very much that you could pull it off. Among
Yeah.
other things,
The
it would be
onesie though, the frog onesie. Why could they tell you you can't get on it's your outfit.
yeah, no, no. There is no doubt you could put the costume on. You could get the costume through and then put it on. The question is whether you could stand the flight in
No,
the
no,
frog
you
costume.
couldn't.
You wouldn't really fit in the seat.
No.
And
But the frog onesie, you could wear it. If you want to borrow it, I could it's pretty much one size fits all.
I'm going to leave that one to you, Holly, but I will expect the next time you have to fly to some godforsaken flyover city, that you wear the frog onesie to it.
That's gonna take some chutzpah. And
I
I'm not
believe in you, girl.
I don't know about that. Okay, so just a few other ideas. There's a Nicolas Cage sequin pillow where you can see all of Nicolas Cage's face or just half of it, like with the sequins that go the different way. I don't know why anybody needs this. You can adopt a demon, which I suggested was a way of that could be Stephen Miller. You could adopt a Stephen Miller and put him in a jar, and that could be very therapeutic. There are toilet porta potty shot glasses on here. There's
I
so
like the
much.
Adopt a Demon project.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of dealing with things. But then I also want to share with you all something that when my best friend got home from the hospital was in her mailbox from the Southern Baptist Church down the street. And it is a pamphlet with a Texas flag and a gun and a rose on the front that is how to get to heaven from Texas. Now, I had always been told by Texans that Texas is heaven. And personally, I have always thought that Texas is hell. So I don't know how, it's interesting that there's a pamphlet of how to get to the afterlife, how to travel to the afterlife from Texas. But I do think that the number of guns in Texas could hasten this travel. So it is perhaps apropos that there is a gun on the cover of this little pamphlet. But then when you read it, it's basically just the same evangelical bullshit that is in everything else. It just has Texas in caps. Okay, here we go. I got to read it to you. More important than living in all caps, Texas is where you will live forever, Ben. Have you ever taken a trip and not known how to get to your destination? Yes, in Texas, because it's so freaking big. Just as you would look at a map of Texas to find your way, so you must look at the Bible to find your way to heaven. And especially if you're from Texas, I would say. So you have to realize you're a sinner, obviously. There's a penalty for your sin. Obviously, you realize that Jesus paid the penalty. Obviously, repent of your sins and receive Christ. Obviously, in order to go to heaven from Texas, you must accept Christ by calling on him in prayer. And again, I'm kind of disappointed because
But I have a question. Is that different from getting to heaven from anywhere
Well,
else?
see, this is the root of my disappointment, Ben, is I thought this pamphlet would have specific instructions to getting to heaven from Texas. And as far as I can tell, this is just the generic
Right,
advice that I've heard my whole
the
life.
from Texas is completely irrelevant.
It is, but I guess it has like this massive Texas map with Texas on it, and I guess the marketing strategy. I guess it's a marketing strategy that assumes the recipient of the pamphlet is obsessed with being Texan, which most Texans are, in my experience, and that this will get their attention the way a normal pamphlet would not. That's my guess. But I have to say that I found it poetic and ironic and all of the things on a number of fronts. Again, first of all, in my experience, Texas is far closer to hell than heaven. So there's many things that are ironic about this. But in the case of my best friend, who was raised by missionaries who went to Africa to tell people how to get to heaven, not from Texas, of course, but from wherever they are, that she would come home from over a month in the hospital and nearly dying to this tacky pamphlet in her mailbox.
Yeah, hit
So
them where it hurts.
yeah,
Get them when they're
there's
sick.
no Christian love like evangelicalism. So then I adapted a Bible verse for the occasion, and this is paraphrasing directly from Jesus, though. And again, I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a Texan to enter the kingdom of God, which is why I have made a special pamphlet with instructions and a gun. Jesus.
There you go. Quick
That's all.
answer. Quick answer to Lior's question. Lior asks, when is Elizabeth Surkoff going to be on Dog Shirt Daily or Lawfare podcast? The answer is that Elizabeth is working on some writing for Lawfare, as well as some other stuff. She will, when we are ready to publish that piece, she will certainly come on the Lawfare podcast to talk about it. She is welcome on Dogshirt TV anytime she likes, and that has been communicated to her and will be so again. As you can all imagine, she is kind of busy getting her life back together. She's got some pretty bad physical injuries, and some of which are quite substantial. And so she's taken things at her own pace, and nobody is uh, uh, um, uh, hurrying her along. Uh, um, and um, John Hawkinson asks why the Dan Richmond lawsuit seems to be under seal or not yet filed. I believe that the answer to that question is no. I have no idea, and I will look into that. Um, uh, so, folks, we have squandered half of the show with inanities.
I have another interesting story for you.
Oh, good.
So now let me caveat this up front and to say that I'm not a West Africa expert and I'm for sure not a Guinea-Bissau expert, except to observe that there are far too many Guinea countries in the world and it's very confusing. There are 4 Guineas. There could be more that I don't know about, but there's Papua New Guinea, there's Guinea-Bissau, and there's Equatorial Guinea. And I don't, why are there so many Guineas? So there's that. Oh, and then it's very confusing that Papua New Guinea is way the hell over in the Pacific, but the other 3 Guineas are in Africa. And John Hawkins says that it's because a guinea is also a pound. But what does that have to do with a country? That doesn't help me out. But anyway, Guinea-Bissau, Ben, had a coup recently, last week actually, as they do. But the interesting twist, so this coup, the military took over the government on the eve of election results being announced. And everybody is saying that the military overthrew in this coup staged it's a self coup. He staged the coup because he knew had lost the election. And so he made it look like the military had overthrown him. It's a creative move. It's not one I've seen a lot before.
So it's like a fake coup because you're leaving power anyway, so this makes it look less legitimate.
No, it's a way of staying in power, I guess. Although the military has technically removed, I don't know. I'm guessing that the military is going to somehow put him back in power, and that's kind of the plan. But I have to say, it's very creative. It's not a scenario I've run into with the coups, and so yeah, that's an idea for Donald Trump. Is you stage a coup against yourself. You
Right.
coup yourself.
I mean, the coup yourself thing is very Erdogan, right? But then
But
you
no,
have
but
to
then he doesn't do successful coups.
right.
This
Then
is
you put the
the
coup
actual
down.
coup. It's not an attempted coup. This is a successful coup where you have yourself removed. Um, but then what? I'm not clear.
Right. I don't see what the end game there is.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
Guinea-Bissau, show us the way because you know we're um we're just rudderless now in this environment, and um we need leadership from countries that know how to do this.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I hope Donald Trump doesn't see that because it's an idea. It's just another idea for him, and I don't think anybody needs to give him an idea. Kate speculated that a Hegseth coup would be very entertaining. If
I
Hegseth had got the military like to behind him, I guess, and then they did a coup, that would be
I
entertaining.
I'm not sure that the military would actually be behind Hegseth. Have you? There's a
No.
lot of anger right now at
Oh yeah. No, they,
um
they hate him. They truly do. But yeah, do they like Trump better? I don't know. It could be again. They could do like it could be like a sleight of the hand coup where it looks like they're cooing on behalf of Hegseth, but then they get rid of him. Um. Anyway, If people need coup expertise, West Africa is very, very rich in that tradition, and there's so many ideas that to be had in
Yeah,
West
so my
Africa.
friend Nani Hall Singh, who is a professor at the War College, the Naval War College, uh, is an expert on African coups.
Oh, really?
That is
Oh,
his.
introduced me.
We can arrange for Nani Hall to be a guest on the show, although he has a new baby, and so it may take a while to arrange. But Nani Hall, yeah, did his dissertation on coups, and I believe has the largest data set in the world on coups.
Maybe I've
Um,
used it actually, but again, I never specialized in West Africa and actually know not a huge amount about West Africa. And that's really that's the coup land. There've been I've handled some the most entertaining coup. It wasn't a coup, Ben. It was a military assisted transition in Zimbabwe in 2017. That was entertaining. I can tell you that story if you want, but I do have to go soon, so maybe it's for another day.
well, let us hold that for another day then, since you've got to go. And folks, this is now the second day in a row where we have. Oh, wait, here is Kate.
Oh, well, I will use that opportunity to say hi bye to Kate.
Oh,
And
Holly, real quick. There was an article in The Economist this morning about Mormon missionaries in Africa and how Africa is the biggest market for Mormons.
yeah,
So if you, I think
it's
you or your
big.
husband gets that, so you might want to check it out. If not, I can send it to you.
Yeah, he does. He gets it through work, but unfortunately, we don't have a person. And I used to get it obviously through work, but I don't have a personal. So it's very expensive.
It is.
I probably need to shell out because they have very good Africa content.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you. That's great. Good heads up. Appreciate it, Kate.
Yep.
And I'm going to go to the orthodontist now. It'll be very fun.
See you later,
Oh, bye,
Holly.
Holly. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am hopping on because, excuse me, I have another paranoid conspiracy theory mind thing that I've been ruminating about on my run this morning. I recently read a piece that Joseph Webster put out. He is an energy expert, I guess. He works for the Atlantic Council. He focuses a lot on China and Russia. And he co-authored a piece in the Atlantic Council about who would benefit off of a war in Venezuela. And the number one beneficiary would be Russia
One assumes Russia
because of the
because
diesel
it drives up
prices.
oil prices.
Well, diesel specifically, because a lot of Europe and other ones can't get diesel other places, and so it would jack up the price. And so I just keep thinking of all of these oligarchs that the Trump administration keeps meeting with, and then all of a sudden they're also really gung ho about invading or toppling Maduro. And I just don't know if anyone's whispering sweet nothings into Wickoff's ear about, yeah, go do your power in South America and, don't let, I don't know.
The question is, do you need a conspiracy theory for that, or is ordinary, um, the transparent public logic adequate, right? So, um, on the, let me state the same theory without a conspiracy theory. Um, Trump wants to have, you know, Western Hemisphere hegemony.
Right.
Um, he can do that without spending a gazillion dollars on fighting in Ukraine. He can do that with uh, only talking about blowing up narco terrorists and hitting very soft targets. There's no
Right.
he can do that without um, and by the way, backing off of Ukraine makes both Russia and China happy. Um, uh, what do we need a conspiracy? Oh, and to the extent that he's inclined to um, give Russia what it wants in Ukraine, he's inclined to do that anyway. So what do we need a conspiracy theory for here?
Well, it just seems to me far-fetched that the Russians would be whispering in his ear to topple Maduro for their own sake. But I guess, I mean,
But what, they don't need to whisper,
well,
right? They just need to sit back and grin and enjoy it.
yeah, I guess the timing just seems a little, you know, all of a sudden we're focused on Venezuela when it's not really drugs. You could look at Colombia or Mexico for more drug issues. I guess Marco Rubio always has his Venezuela thing.
Marco Rubio has a Venezuela thing. Pete Hegseth likes blowing things up as long as it has lethality. I don't think he cares who
Right,
he's blowing up. Um, the White House, it's, about brown people and immigration,
right.
and
But aren't
it has,
Venezuelans a little bit more white-ish?
it depends what class they're
Okay,
from. It's a highly, like a lot of South
right.
America, the wealthier you are,
European.
the more European you look.
Yeah.
But a lot of the, but first of all, they don't know that.
Right.
And secondly, a lot of the people who are um, migrating here are in fact non-white. And in any event, they're Spanish speaking. And um, and it involves words like gangs and Tren de Aragua uh, and so um, it just seems like the variable is a little overdetermined. You don't really need a Russian conspiracy theory to get you to exactly the non-policy that we have, which is, as best as I can tell, um, blow up some boats, station naval assets over there, improvise, and see what happens.
Okay, but the first administration, we had Bolton, who was certainly a fan of regime change. We had the
Sure.
actual election.
Bolton actually, who, you know, so I don't mean to romanticize John Bolton, but Bolton is a policy mind,
Yes,
right? He
yes.
has actual policy objectives, and you can agree with them, you can disagree with them, you can snort at them, but he's somebody who does have
He's an
uh
adult in the room. He's a serious person. My point is like, okay, so it went nowhere during the first term with an actual policy. And now all of a sudden we're in bed with the Russians on everything. I mean, this 300 million frozen assets we want 50% of, Trump's over there, Wickoff's over there. They're all doing businesses with the oligarchs. And Russia would be the single most beneficial country from American use of force in Venezuela. So nothing comes up from when we actually have a plan in the first administration. And now all of a sudden we're just bombing shit and we have all these, corrupt ties to the Russians and everything. It just seems a little, I mean, I just feel like the Russians are somewhere feeding information or misinformation or something somewhere to the administration.
well, so I think you should first of all assume that the Russians are always doing
Yeah.
that. Um, and the Russians here win either way. Whoa.
Uh,
That is an agonized
we
cat
have
noise.
one old lady cat and two young boys, and they torment her. So,
Um, so look, the Russians benefit either way. If Trump backs down with first of all, Maduro is something of a Russian client regime, and so I don't think they're too eager to have um, their person removed too quickly. Um, that said, um, if the administration backs down, then it looks foolish, and loss of American prestige is always good for Russia. If they come in and they raise oil prices as a result, and remember, Venezuela is one of the largest oil producing countries in the world. I forget where it is in oil reserves, but it's like up there with Saudi Arabia. Um, and it's you know, if you jack up oil prices, and diesel prices in particular, that's good for Russia. Chaos is good for Russia.
Right.
Um, and distraction from Ukraine is good for Russia, particularly if it comes to involve other countries. And so I think just the stirring the pot in this area uh, is a good move for them, and you should assume that they are always um, whispering in the ear of their very ignorant interlocutors, and trying to add dust into the ecosystem for and you see that with when they deal with Witkoff, who, proudly knows nothing. And they're able to convince him, at least on a temporary basis, of all sorts of things. And I think we should assume that that is their modus operandi here, and that they're always doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think um, that's their playbook. And the interesting problem that your question raises is you can lose in that the question of what is their actual strategic objective. And that is because they throw so much chum in the water. And, they're here's what we know: their strategic objective does not involve Venezuela. Um, their strategic objective involves, their near abroad, eroding the European American alliance, um, and um, and retaining and pushing out their
But
um,
wouldn't
sphere of influence.
disruption in Venezuela also enable that, because it would create high prices for Europe just as the winter's coming on and all that stuff,
Right,
and
but it
split the
is it
US?
is a it is a means to an end,
Right.
not a right
Right.
there.
They don't care about, yeah.
It's right. It's not like 1963 where, they're trying to establish a beachhead with nuclear weapons pointed at the United States, right? There it is they are trying to maintain and grow their peripheral power base in the areas that they join, and erode confidence in NATO, which they have done extremely successfully,
Yep.
or that Trump has done on their behalf extremely successfully.
Yep.
And so, might they use Venezuela as a way to do that? Sure, but this is not about Venezuela to them.
Right. Right. I mean, I'm just, if we get bogged down in a never-ending shit show in Venezuela, that would hurt the Europeans, hurt us, distract us, all that other stuff.
All correct. But this does not distract from the real question, Kate, which is, are those
Penguins.
penguin
Penguins.
Santas?
Penguins.
Penguins,
Yes.
yes. So Greek chorus wanted to
They
know.
look like owls.
Yeah, we had important dispute about that in the chat when you
Yes.
first came on.
So yeah, that was all
What
I
else
really
is on
had.
your mind this morning? What
Well, I listened to more scary stuff about Japan or just China in general, and how it was I'm actually not even going to quote the source because it's a little bit embarrassing. I really don't know how I started listening to these guys, but they have on some crazy China hawks. And one of them was talking about how if there is a war, that Chinese citizens overseas have like obligations to fight for the motherland, and that there's thing like Japan. They weren't really speaking about the U.S., but like Japan, like Chinese citizens in Japan would conduct sabotage, and it really just reminded me of like World War II and the Japanese and the Germans and stuff like that. So that was a little. I don't really know how much credence to give to that, but
Um, as a general matter, um, stories of sabotage among immigrant or migrant communities are almost always nonsense.
I know, but then you think about, I mean, but you think of other things that the Chinese have hold over their diaspora. I mean, Chinese citizens or Chinese nationals in other countries sometimes do retain a certain um, connection to China mainland that other countries I don't think do. Um,
I
especially,
think I mean, it's true of totalitarian slash highly authoritarian regimes in general. It is also true, um, uh, I think the other thing about the Chinese regime is they have an enormous population base with which to work in that regard. Um, the diaspora is really, really big. That said,
but even
I
if
have
just like the espionage stuff, I mean, they pay for college students' room and board in foreign countries, and then all they have to do is come talk to the embassy once a month and tell them all that they're working on. I mean,
right.
under threat of stuff, they coerce protests, they coerce tattletelling, they do all sorts of things that we shouldn't put up with. And I know that's different than violence, but I don't know. We've
No,
had
that's right. And look, there's we've had incidents involving um, at GW University involving organizations that are clearly party controlled. Um, it's not a non-issue, but it isn't. The China Hawks do have a way of freaking out about Chinese people rather than
right.
focusing on the malign activities of the Chinese government. And I do think it is important to never do that. Um,
Yeah. Well, I
so,
know we got enough of it when it was really hard when I was kind of before Trump when I did the China stuff, or just, and trailing off of Obama. And it was really hard to work with universities because they just wouldn't talk to the FBI about China stuff because they thought it was all profiling. And then I mean, it really wasn't. I mean, we had intercepts, but it was frustrating. It was really frustrating, the whole racial profiling thing with the Chinese. But anyway, so that's all I got.
well, it's great to see you this morning.
Bye, guys.
And folks, we have 7 minutes left. A reminder, there is no show tomorrow. There is a show on Thursday. It will be at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, not at 8. There is a show on Friday that will be at the normal time, which is to say 5 a.m. Pacific Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And the reason for that is that Alicia has a guest joining us to discuss modern Italian politics. And that guest was scheduled before my trip, and so we are going to respect the normal time of the show. So Friday we will have a normal time show. And yes, John Hawkinson, that is a change. Um, uh, but Alicia reminds me that there is a previous show scheduled for Friday. So uh, no show tomorrow. 11 o'clock Eastern Time show on Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time show on Friday, and then normal time after that. Folks, we're going to be back. It's just not going to be tomorrow. It's going to be fine. You guys are going to be fine. I'm going to be getting on a plane. Some of you are going to show up anyway, and be confused. There's nothing I can do about that. But that's okay. You know, keep each other company in the chat. You can have a full Greek chorus without me. And we will be back on Thursday at 11 o'clock a.m. I don't know who the co-hosts are going to be. I don't know who the guests are going to be, but you will be there. I will be there, and it's going to be a blast.